Hi everyone, I want to show you how to ferment spinach. Now I'm sure you're thinking that's a bit of a strange idea, and I'm also sure that it's probably not at the top of your list of things you want to ferment. However, I have a really good reason for showing you how to do it. First of all, spinach ferments fairly quickly. It's ready in about 3 days. And second of all, a lot of people like to add spinach to their smoothie to give their smoothie a little green power. And so I thought it'd be a good idea if it also had some good bacteria in it too. This way you get your good bacteria and your greens at the same time. Now I'm going to show you how to ferment it with some lemon and some onion, which is going to give it some prebiotic punch. And I'm also going to show you how to make a cold spinach soup, which is perfect for the summertime. So take a look. So here we go to make our fermented spinach. So what I have here is, well, you can see how much I probably have about 4 cups of spinach that has been washed and dried. So again, if you are using tap water with chlorine to wash your spinach, be sure to dry it either in a salad spinner or in a paper towel. I tend to do the paper towel because I'm too lazy to get the salad spinner out. So that's our spinach. We're going to have, probably what's that, tablespoon and a half of chopped onion. We have about 4 little slices of lemon there, and we're going to use a teaspoon of sea salt. And then I'm going to talk about what we're going to use to speed up the fermentation process, but I've got some sauerkraut juice here and I have some whey. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is put our spinach into the jar. That would seem like a very good place to start. I'll try not to get spinach all over everything. Okay, so all the spinach is going into the jar. And we are also going to be adding the onions. Okay, so we're just going to add the onions like that. Get our little piece of spinach. We're going to throw in the lemon. And then what we're going to do is pack it down. So you might have thought that was a lot of spinach. You could even add more if you want. You want to leave about that much space at the top of the jar. So I could have added more spinach, but I don't have any more spinach, so that's all I'm going to put in. And then what we're going to do is add, some water, because we have to cover this. Now we could do this all with sea salt and do a brine, but that makes it taste really salty. So I'm just going to put in, about 3/4 of a teaspoon. Because what I'm going to use to help this ferment is, and you have your choice here, you can use whey. So if we look at this, you'll see that I have yogurt that is sitting in the top here, and I've drained, and I've got a puddle of whey, in the bottom there. So you can use that if you like, and I would use about 1/4 of a cup. But what I'm choosing to use is sauerkraut juice. So this is from sauerkraut that has been strained. I see a little piece of cabbage floating around in there, and I've got about 1/4 cup. So I'm going to add this instead of the whey. And the reason I'm doing that is it's just, in my heart of hearts, I just think it's going to taste better. I just think the cabbage sauerkraut juice is going to add something to the flavor of this. So once you have that in and you're confident that you've got a little bit more space, add a little bit more water. And you're going to have to keep pushing this down. And the nice thing about using a starter like sauerkraut or using whey is that it's going to jump start the fermentation process. So it's not going to take as long for this to ferment. We're only going to ferment this for 3 days. And that also means that the gases are going to build up in here, and you don't have to worry so much about things floating on top once the gas is built up. So you can see the amount of liquid we have there. You still see there's some lemon and a bit of onion poking up there. And so we're going to put our lid on. And we're going to screw it on tight because remember this is an anaerobic process. And then maybe for the first day or so we'll do this to try and make sure things stay covered. But the problem with the spinach, which you don't have with other things, is when you do that, you can see more stuff pops up. So it is permissible for you to, you know, on day 2, go back in there and poke it all back down, because you have starter in there. It's not as fragile as the ones with the brine. Okay, so we're just going to let that sit, and I would only do that once, by the way. I wouldn't go in there every day and be poking things down. Just do it once. As I said, it's not going to take long for the gases to build up because we added the sauerkraut juice, and that's got active bacteria in it, which is going to jumpstart this. All right, so we're going to leave that as is, and then we'll come back to this in 3 days. All right, here we are, 3 days later, and this is the moment of truth. So you can see that the spinach has floated to the top. That is not unusual with cultured vegetables. I've seen other vegetables do that. Doesn't mean anything. The key is what's going to happen when we open this jar. Oh, there we go. We heard the gas pop. That's a good sign. All right. Ooh, smells nice. So there's no funky smells. All I smell is lemon. You can see nothing weird is going on in there. Looks lovely. Now you can see there's a little bit of bubbling, which is good because usually because of the gas buildup, you'll see a little bubbling action sometimes when you open the jar. This has only been done for 3 days, and it was used, if you recall, sauerkraut juice. You can also use whey or something else that gets it started. Because of that, it doesn't build up necessarily as much gas because there's already good bacteria in the liquid, and so it starts to ferment a little more quickly. Okay, in terms of taste, if you just want to taste it at this point, tastes like spinach. And I'm getting a bit of the lemon, I'm getting a bit of the onion. So it doesn't have a really strong taste at this point, and this will make it easier to turn this into a soup. If we take the pH of it, we can see that it's about between 4 and 5. It's closer to 4. Yeah, it's about 4. And that's exactly what we want to see. All right, so now we can turn this into a soup. All right, so we're going to put our soup together now. And we have, obviously, our fermented spinach with lemon and onion. And we have about, 2 to 3 tablespoons of grated carrot. We have about 1 to 1.5 tablespoons of fresh dill. And we have basically a peeled avocado with the pit removed. I also have some sea salt and pepper for taste. So the first thing we're going to do is, you can see how there's all this liquid at the bottom. We're just going to remove some of that because we can always put it back in if we want. But this is just so we have a better ability to adjust the thickness of our soup. Whoops. So I'm just going to put that aside. All right. Now the other thing I'm going to do, and this is your option, you can juice the lemon like this and just get all the juice out if you like, or you can leave them in and peel up the rind, or puree up the rind, I should say, when you puree everything else. That's totally your choice. That's going to be your taste preference. You are going to get more nutrients from the lemon rind, but again, it's up to you whether you do that. Okay, so we are going to add our dill, and we are going to put in the carrots. The carrots are there for some sweetness. You could also use raw honey instead, or you could use a date or a couple of dates. And then we're going to stick in our avocado. Let's mush it all in there. And then we're going to get our hand blender. Don't know if you have a hand blender. If you don't have a hand blender, it's a great thing. You should maybe try and get one because they're a very, very handy thing to have. Okay. All right, here we go. All right, now you can add some sea salt and some pepper at any point here. I'm just going to move that out for a second. And as you can see, stuff gets caught in the hand blender, so you want to pull that out and continue to puree. Okay. Now, if we look at the texture, it's fairly thick. Now, I think that's a good texture, and if you want to thin it down, you can, but I'm going to leave it like that, and I'm just going to taste this. Very refreshing. Now, again, if you want to adjust the seasoning, you can do that again now. I'm going to leave it as is because I think it is seasoned well enough. And now we're going to serve it. Okay, so here we go. Just get this out of the way. And we are going to pour some soup into a bowl. And then if we want to dress it up a bit, you can take some yogurt or some kefir, whatever you, I have a little bit of yogurt here. And what you can do is you want to mix it up so that it's a bit runny, okay? And then you can draw on top like that. And if you want to make it even a little fancier, you can take the back side of the spoon and just draw lines through it. And now you have a pretty design to go with your soup, and it's ready to serve. Now, on one final note, I'd just like to say that, first of all, this does make a nice smoothie too. Second of all, you can adjust this to taste as you see fit. Spinach does have a slightly bitter taste, not a lot of a bitter taste. So if it's not quite to your liking, you can add more lemon. You can add different herbs. I use dill because that's what I happen to have, but you could use basil, you could use parsley. There's a lot of things you can to change the flavor profile. And you could add other whole vegetables to this as well if you like. Cucumber, anything that sort of strikes your fancy. But this makes a really great base. And it's all fermented and has lots of good bacteria in it, so it's good to go. Give it a try.